Hello, my name is Liene and welcome back to my channel and welcome to January wrap-up. So the lighting is gonna change. I don't know, it's probably gonna be brighter than that because it is a kind of sunny day. There are clouds too. And the sun is at a weird angle because of the time of the year. And yeah, it's gonna be a mess a bit because my ring light is not that strong. It can't make it better. Right now it looks better, but the sun is gonna come out in a moment and it's gonna be like this side gets too dark, I feel like, but it doesn't really matter. It is what it is. Let's talk about the books I read in January. So first month of the year was quite successful. I read 6 books and I enjoyed them all. They were all good. Some were better than others in some ways, but they were all good. I didn't hate any of the books I read in January, and let's talk about them. First read of the month and year was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I read this for Buzzword Reading Challenge. I really liked it. This is my first time reading this one. I have read some Agatha Christie books and I have enjoyed them all, but this one is about people who are invited to this island, and then it probably is the most popular story. So the people who get invited to this island are being killed off one by one, and they understand that one of the persons who are there is the one who's doing it, but because they are the only ones on the island. There's no one else there, and they try to figure out who is it. And we follow that story, and we can make our own guesses. I had an idea at some point, but I didn't guess who was it. I, though, spoiled myself because I wanted to see how many pages I have left in the book, and at the end it was mentioned, like I saw who was it by accident. But yeah, it didn't ruin the enjoyment of the book, so I still really enjoyed it. I like trying to figure out these stories. Of course, I didn't until the moment I saw, but I didn't know who was the murderer and what was the reasons why, because all the people invited have their secrets, and at the beginning we get introduced to all of them and how they received the invitation. So it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it, and I think this is my favorite Agatha Christie so far. And I feel like this is gonna be one of my favorite reads of the year. So it was a great start of the year. Next book I read was Dear Child by Romy Hausmann. This is a translation from German. I know that there is an English edition too. This is a story about a woman who escapes her kidnapper. She's been held hostage. Now, I don't know, not a house, like a hut or whatever, kind of a building thing in the woods, and now she escapes and she gets into an accident and into a hospital. It looks like she is the woman who's been missing for 14 years, except that the family of the missing woman says that she's not their daughter. We have perspectives of the woman who's been found, the father whose daughter went missing 14 years ago, and then a little girl who is the daughter of the woman. And it was so twisted. There were so many things weird happening, but it was really captivating and interesting story. My least favorite perspective was the father, because I understand that his daughter went missing 14 years ago and he still doesn't know what really happened to her. But the way he talked about the woman who was found and is kind of saying that she's Lena, his daughter, I don't know, I just didn't like how he talked about her. But I guess it's the part of the story, the part of each person's journey through this situation that is here. So we're figuring out what actually happened to the man's daughter and who actually is this woman who was just found, and the little girl that was with her. The ending was something. I think I've said multiple times before, I don't read a lot of thrillers, but when I do, I usually enjoy them. I've heard a lot of good things about this one before, so that's why I picked it up. This is a library copy. I took it from library. I need to return it now after I filmed this book haul wrap up. So next week I'm gonna go and bring it in. Yeah, this was really enjoyable thriller for me. I don't know how it is for people who read a lot of thrillers. Maybe it's not that great for them. I definitely recommend this one, but be aware that there are a lot of bad things happening in this book and mentioned in this book. And also, what I found really interesting that there is kind of cat in this book. So technically, I could count this book as a cat book. My next read was Wishes by V. Schwab. This is Latvian edition. This is about two men who were friends, but now there are enemies. So we have nowadays when Victor has escaped jail and he's looking for Eli. What is his name? I don't know. Sorry for saying if it's wrong, because in Latvian it is Elise. But how it is in English, I don't know. So Victor is looking for him now. Then we have the past where they are friends and they are trying to figure out how to make people extraordinary, like people like superheroes with powers, and they figure it out how to do it, and they have powers themselves. It was really interesting to follow how they got from friends to enemies and how the story went. I know there is book 2, but I kind of feel like you can read this book on its own. Leaves like open ends where probably the book 2 comes in. Right now I know that book 2 has not been translated to Latvian, and I think there is gonna be book 3, but I'm not sure about it. But yeah, I definitely really like this, and I definitely like Victor better than the other. I should have looked up how to pronounce the name. Those are not the only characters in this story, but I really liked the idea of the power. What determines what the power for the people will be. I really liked that thing. So yeah, this was a really interesting story and I really enjoyed it. I would like to read more of them, but I don't really want the second book in English if I have the first one in Latvian. So we'll see. Maybe I need to get in the ebook and read it that way. Then Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. We follow a woman who's been living in this closed space for, was it 10 years? Because she was part of this way of world. There was a rebellion, they took over, and since she was kind of important, she was a poster girl for the government kind of thing, and she and quite a lot of other people they're not really in jail, but they are in this closed off part of the town, of the place, and they have very limited things to do. But then one day she's offered an option to get out of there by looking for a kid who was taken from the family and given away, and now she tries to do that, and a lot of things else happen. I found really interesting in this one the world, how it was when she lived in the society, how everything was, and how she thinks, and then how things are now after the rebellion. I found this world really interesting, and the thinking, how if you grew up in a society that tells you things, there are people who will see the wrongs, but then there are who accept the way, this is the way we live, this is the right way to do things, and how when things change and you are thrown into new things and you have to look at your past and rethink some things, basically. Another enjoyable read of January. Next, I read House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. We follow this girl who goes to House of Hunger and she becomes a blood maid. So she lives there, and the lady of the house drinks blood of her blood maids. There are 4 of them or 5. At the beginning there are 5 of them. Things change, things happen, but it is about our main character living in that house and figuring things out and learning the things she has to do to be a blood maid. Like, there are a lot of rules. She's in a completely different world. She has a lot of things to figure out and learn, and she realizes a lot of things. It is, for a really long time, like, I feel like not much is happening. And then, closer to the end, when things get unraveled and you figure out things, it was a bit scary. Some things were scary. So, yeah. But drinking blood makes you think of vampires. But throughout this whole book, I couldn't understand. Are there really vampires? What is happening? I can't really tell if it is really a vampire book just because there is the drinking of the blood, or it's just about people who are weird and drink blood. So yeah, I don't know. This, I think, was the most disappointing read. I didn't hate it. Still, it was interesting to follow our main character, how she figures things out. I did enjoy it, but it still was a bit disappointing. And then the last read of the month was God Killer by Hannah Kanner, and this is a book about God Killer. Oh my god. We have 3 POVs we are following. One of them is the God Killer. When she was little, she survived an attack on her home. Her family kind of was sacrificed to the god, and she was the only one who survived. And that now, years later, she's a God Killer. She has been in a war against the gods, and she still goes around and kills gods for money. And then we follow an ex-knight for the king who goes on his journey because of the king, who was his friend. He now doesn't serve the king anymore. He's a baker, but he kind of agrees to go on this journey to the city of, I don't know if I can call it city of the gods, but this place where the battle with the gods happened. And then we follow a girl who runs away from home to look for a god killer to help her with an issue relating to a god. They meet in a place and go together and kind of become friends, I want to say. I really liked this one. I liked all of the characters, how different they were and how they interacted. I don't know, the god killer, Kissen, she hasn't had an easy life, and she is very closed off and she doesn't want to open up to people. But then these people come in her life, even though she doesn't really want to. She gets attached to them, like she cares for them. It is a journey for all of them. There are different things that have happened to each of them in their past, and now when they come together, you can't open up immediately and tell everything about yourself, and you're hiding things. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I know that the sequel is coming out soon, and I will definitely continue on with the series, and hopefully the second book is as good, because the first one, the ending wasn't the brightest ending. These were the books I read in January. 6 books, 6 good books. I enjoyed them all, some more than others, but still I enjoyed them all. So please let me know in the comments down below, what did you read in January? And have you read any of these? And what did you think? So I would like to know that and read about that in the comments. But that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you in the next one. Bye.